Welcome to the Villa Pride Down Under podcast, an Aston Villa supporters podcast brought to you from Australia. We're back, Tess. We're back. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. We are back. Oh, it's been such a long time. I've missed you guys so
Yeah,
badly.
yeah.
I was
It's
getting
been
to write you guys love letters.
unfortunately, Rhino can't make it tonight for the listeners. Rhino was actually meant to do the podcast, but unfortunately, there was a bit of confusion over the time difference, which is quite the challenge for the podcast here when the three of us are on three different time zones. But Rhino will be back very shortly, and hopefully we'll be all able to get on a podcast again this week. Just for the listeners, it's been a bit of a break. It's been a hectic few months for us. We've had a lot on. I was working away from home. My missus had a few medical issues with her back, and then I got married, so I had a month off for that. And Tess and Rhino obviously had Tess and Rhino had a busy. They were away over Christmas and stuff, so it's been really a hectic few months. But we are ready to get back into it, and we are going to be bringing regular pods again as we go into a very important second half of the season, where we're in the top half of the Premier League and in the very highly up in the Champions League. So, Tess, welcome back, my man. How are you keeping?
Hello. Oh, I've been really, really good. And I was thinking the other day, I was just like, it has been a long while, but we've had lots of messages from a lot of our supporters on social media, on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on YouTube, who've asked where we've been. And I've been trying to explain to everybody that it's just been such a hectic time. Of course, you got married late last year, which is an amazing thing. And as I was saying before, you look so young now, like you've got a new life. And obviously, you mentioned that your wife there, she had a few medical issues and you had to sort it out. And we've all got families and we're in different states. Rhino's down in Melbourne, you're in Perth, and I'm in Queensland. And I'll hold my hands up, all right? Today was my fault because I was meant to come on with Rhino. And he said, 9 o'clock. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. At 8:30 p.m. in my time, I'm like, send a message. Yeah, I'm ready to go. He's like, oh man, it's too late. It's off, like it's 9:30. And I was like, oh my God. So they're an hour ahead. So yeah, that was all my fault. And I apologize to Rhino. But as you said, we're back. It's a brand new year. Happy New Year to everyone. And I'm delighted to be back as well.
Yeah, it's great to be back on. And as I said, Rhino will be definitely making an appearance very, very soon. And we will be back consistently, whether that be two of us, three of us. We're going to be getting the podcast up consistently again. So, and we're really looking forward to it. And we have some lovely guests lined up to come through. We still have those competitions going. We still have fantasy football going. But we're not going to talk about that too much because my leadership at the top of the leaderboard has died off massively.
I really want you to talk about fantasy because I had a quick chat the other day and I didn't message you because the last time I messaged you, it was the following day you messaged me back. So I spoke too soon. Just on the fantasy though, can I just shout out the Gold Coast Villains? I'm in one of their groups and I'm like up to third from like way down there. I'm up to third and I'm catching these guys. Like I'm catching you guys in the Gold Coast Villains. So watch out.
Right now it's been a hectic Tess. It's been a hectic schedule over the Christmas. Some great results, some bad results. We won't go through them all now because they've been widely covered in other podcasts we have ourselves. We've discussed them ourselves in our own group chat. But let's talk a little bit about recent games. We'll start with the FA Cup the weekend. 2-1 against West Ham. Look, I think we can both sit here and admit it wasn't the most enjoyable hour of my time getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch Villa. We were extremely poor for an hour, but we just had to turn it on for 25 minutes to beat West Ham. We won't keep getting away with that. It happened to us the week before against Leicester as well, where we only turned up for the last 25 minutes and a half an hour, winning the game, but better sides will put us to bed. What do you make of our current form? Up, down? It's kind of really hard to nail down, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an up and down for me. It just looks as though some of the players have been looking a bit leggy, to be honest with you. I know there's been a lot of games in a short space of time, but we don't seem to have a lot of rotation. And, the coach likes a few of the players and he trusts them and he tends to play them all the time. We always hear conversations about Leon Bailey and how Leon Bailey's doing at the moment. And he's a player clearly getting games to play himself back into form. Because I felt sorry for him sometimes. I mean, sometimes he just looks like he's just way beyond it, doesn't he? And I wondered whether it was tired or not. But again, he's come out and said that he's had injuries and all these sorts of things that have been affecting him. But also, yeah, Morgan Rogers has had a little dip in form, but then he pops up and creates goals and all these sorts of things. So an up and down last couple of months, I would say. And I think that's down to rotation. We haven't really been rotating, and sometimes teams just get out of form. You're just not in form anymore. But we've managed to scrape with a few, and there's some that we've just haven't been really good in, to be honest with you. So I don't know what to make of it. I'm not down and out about it. We're in a good position in the league. I think we've still got an opportunity to finish at Champions League. We're still doing really well in the Champions League. And of course, we had just a recent game there against West Ham for the 150th anniversary. What a spectacle that was. Obviously, we don't get to go there, but just recently watched some of the video and the atmosphere and the build up to the West Ham game celebrating 150 years. It was unbelievable. And even though the game for the first half, which I missed a little bit of because I was out camping, as you know, I was in my caravan trying to get service in the countryside. I actually walked out to the toilets. So there's a toilet block up probably about 200 meters away, and I walked all the way over there with my phone, and I managed to get enough service to watch the second half. Thankfully, didn't really need to watch the first half by all accounts, apparently. So, yeah, my thoughts are up and down. We can be better, and I think we will get better, and we will become a little bit more consistent.
It's funny because, like, the first hour, we didn't have a shot, which is very unusual for us at home. If that was away, I'd kind of... But then we got a corner that, like, really wasn't a corner. So I'm going to take that because you need a bit of luck. But it definitely wasn't a corner. We scored from the corner. That gave us momentum. And then for the next 17, 18 minutes, we were actually brilliant. Like, we just shot into life. Roger started getting on the ball, carrying the ball. Watkins was finding space. Bailey came alive. We suddenly looked really good. West Ham couldn't keep up with us once we started playing. Luckily, it didn't come to...
Do you think it was the goal that we needed? That goal, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it was the corner. Like, I know we scored from the corner, but as soon as we were given that corner, you could just hear the crowd getting up a bit, you know. Obviously to score straight from that corner, then the momentum was with us. And to be honest with you, as soon as we scored that, there was no doubt in my mind we were going to score a second, and it came very quickly after. The second goal was a great goal as well. It was a good finish. Rogers done well to get ahead of his man and finish. It was kind of a little bit similar to Bailey's goal against Leicester, you know, just beating the man and a nice finish to the bottom corner. Matson kind of really came into it there in the second half. He was taking shots, and I think he was a big part of us getting back into that game because we had no shots in the first half, and suddenly Matson was shooting from distance, testing the keeper, and just kind of changed everything. Rogers started getting on the ball, and I seen Onana's interview after the game. He said at halftime, Emery told him just get in the box and start causing a bit of chaos, you know, just make sure you're in there. He's a big lad, you know. And we looked really good. Last 10 minutes or 5-10 minutes a bit shaky, but it's a cup game. It's 2-1. You expect West Ham to throw everything at you at that stage because they wouldn't mind losing 3-1 at that stage, trying to win the game, you know. So overall, I thought we're into the next round, which is obviously the main thing. When it's cup football, I'll take bad performances and wins all the way through the cup. To be honest, it just doesn't bother me. It was a really hard watch. As you know, I'm the same as yourself, Tess. I get up. Doesn't matter what time the kickoff is, whether it's 12:30 at night, 3 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m., whether it's a Saturday, Sunday, or a midweek. I watch every game. You know, I get up, and it was really hard. Like getting up at 10 to 4 in the morning, having to be at work at 6:30. And to watch that first hour, I did it, you know, and I'll do it again, but it was difficult. And I didn't really understand the walking pace football that we were playing at. I didn't understand it. Your attendance has been...
It reminded me of, you know, when players are trying to kind of conserve their energy for another game. You know, like you play a Saturday fixture, for example, but, you know, you've got a Champions League game midweek. It reminded me of players trying to conserve their energy so they can't get injured so they can play in the following game. That's what the pace kind of looked like to me when I was watching it.
I watched a few games over the last week or so, and there's been a lot of games like that, Joe, not just the Villa game, and that kind of just says to me, like, the players have played a lot, not just Villa. Like the players have played a lot of football over that Christmas period. Like they're just going to affect the quality on the pitch. Sad to see Barkley go off injured, but every team is getting injuries now every week, and it's affecting the overall spectacle of every game. I think some games spark into life and they could be 3-2, 3-all, but I think this is a simple case of they were slowing down the pace, and we're not at our best when we're at walking pace. Really, I think we're at our best when we're moving the ball fast and stuff. But look, credit to them, they turned it around, and that's all you can ask for. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't suit as well. I think you look at Ollie's game, and whenever we have fast-paced attacks and stuff, Ollie seems to be at his best. When we're sort of doing the slower pace and the passing around the box and less direct, I kind of think it affects Ollie's game a little bit because he kind of thrives on like being able to run onto the ball, doesn't he? And then using his pace to get past that last man and have a shot on goal. But that slower pace, I don't know, it just in my opinion, it just doesn't seem to suit his game. And also I found like he played a little bit better or seemed a little bit better when he was going more from the left-hand side and trying to come in. Obviously, he set up the goal for Rodgers, but it helped him perform a little bit better than he was performing before, just kind of staying in the middle of the park at the top there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a good point. I think when we're playing that slow pace, Watkins' game is all about movement. And if the team are playing at a slower pace, it's easier for the centre-back to match Watkins' movement. Whereas if the ball is moving fast and defenders and midfielders are being pulled out of place, then Watkins can find space. But if there's no movement in front of you, then the centre backs don't need to come out of position. They don't get caught in whether to go or stay. They just know to stay with your man. We're at our best when Rodgers is driving at the team, because you've got Bailey going off in one direction, you've Rodgers going off in one direction. And I always bring it back then. I've mentioned this before in the pod, like John McGinn is one of those players you don't realize how much you miss him until he's not there. It's like, there's some games I'm thinking that man needs a stint on the sidelines, like he needs it. But you know what? They're the games where you need McGinn, because when it's slow pace, he's the one that throws in a tackle, or he's the one that gets on the ball. And even if he loses it running out of play, he's just trying to get the energy levels up. He raises the crowd and stuff. And I know it's easy to say, like in hindsight, like, oh, we might have been better if McGinn were there. But they're the games you do actually miss McGinn, and the slow ones, just to get everybody moving and just driving on. And we kind of lacked a bit of leadership out there. I thought maybe Tyrone Mings was back. I seen him barking orders and stuff, but you had no one that was kind of, right, lads, we need to keep the ball for 10 minutes, because our ball retention was really bad. And it's the one thing we're generally good at, is the ball retention. But I'm not going to hit you with Tillmans, because I think he's been our best player this season. But that's the worst game of football I've seen Tillmans play for Villa. Not just this season, but I mean, as a Villa player. And he's entitled to a bad game. The problem for Tillmans is he's had a bad game when everybody around him is having a bad game. Whereas it's okay if a player has a bad game and there's 7 or 8 others to pick up the pieces. You don't notice it as much. But Tillmans couldn't make a 5-yard pass, which is so unlike him. Yeah. He was heavily involved in the goal after, which you got to give him credit for that. But there was one stage there he broke with the ball, and Bailey made a lovely run off to the right, and he went to roll at the Bailey. Tillmans usually does these. He could do a blindfolded usually, and he put the ball straight out for a goal kick. And you could just even see in his own face he was bemused by it. But it was just one of those games. And I actually thought that the way that West Ham were sitting in their low block, and they defended really well. They had 2 men on Rodgers all the time. They had 2 men on Bailey, and then they just compacted midfield. They gave us nowhere to go. It was really good. You have to give West Ham credit as well. But I thought, I was very surprised that Tillmans came out at the second half. I genuinely didn't think he should have been brought out. I thought he should have been taken off at half time. And I thought that was the time was to bring on Buendia, because I was like, how are we going to break them down? But that's why I'm sitting here on a fan pod, and Unai Emery sitting there as the coach of Aston Villa, I suppose. But and then even later on, obviously, like I was saying to Paddy, could he tell me what? Because Paddy was at the game, and I was asking what Kamara's body language was like leaving the pitch. Because I was like, Kamara was really coming into the game, and then he got taken off, and I was very surprised to see him going off. And Paddy made a very good point. Paddy was saying, like, these decisions are taken away from the coaches these days. These decisions are made from the sports scientists. Like, if his levels are dropping because he's come back from a big injury, the medical staff are going to tell Emery, maybe take him off now, because Emery doesn't want to lose Kamara for the Champions League or the league. And Yeah, so I was very surprised to see Kamara go off and Tillman stay on personally, but it worked. We got there in the end. I think just on touching off Kamara, like he's just such a good footballer, man. I just love watching him. I could literally, if there was if you were only given the choice of 3 games to watch one player on player cam, that's where I'd choose. His movement is just incredible.
Put the camera on him and let's just see what he does.
See what he sees.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, because that would be. He reads the game so well, Kamara, and I've watched him. He's been the best player for a few games. When I've seen, I haven't got to see all the games, as I said, I was away, but I got to watch some of the highlights, and I just haven't had time to watch the full games back. But when I've seen just little clips of what he's been doing, he just seems to know where players are. He just knows where to be to break stuff up. And he started to do a little bit more creating and passing balls around corners and all these sorts of things. Just amazing to watch. He's definitely, in my opinion, been one of the brightest sparks over the last few games, at least. Anyway, just while we've had lots of games in a row, he's just been there and outstanding for me. I just think he's such a great footballer. Offer him a new contract, I reckon. Let's get it done now, soon. He's an unbelievable player. Just on the Tielemans thing, I know a lot of people are saying that we're looking forward to Tielemans playing sort of more like a, that 10 role, but I found him better this season when he's been further back with Kamara, to be honest with you. I found that we seem to have a little bit more balance when we're playing and when we've been attacking. He can still do that passing to break through a defense and all that sort of stuff from back there, maybe in the 6 role. I just found he's much better in that position than he has been when he's been playing further forward. And lots of people will disagree with me, but even of late in the last couple of games, he hasn't been fantastic. And the last game against West Ham, he wasn't great, but I don't think he was great even the game before that.
Against Leicester? Yeah, no, he wasn't bad in the game, yeah.
A lot of stray passes and losing the ball and these sorts of things. And that's not a slight on him. I think he's a fantastic player and I think he has been really, really good. But at the moment, to give the team a bit more balance, I actually think he's better off playing further back in that 6 with Kamara than Onana is, for example. And Buendia's starting to come back now, and he seems to. I think he came on against Leicester, and he just seemed like that, getting to that old Buendia stage where he's got all of that energy, that running, and he was unlucky not to score. Well, he's hungry to play, and he might be a better option to play further up there than Tielemans at the moment. That's just my opinion, and don't at me, but that's just what I've been seeing. And maybe just the last 2 games for Tielemans he's just fallen off a little bit, but he might be back for the next game against Everton. I don't know, but I just see the way I've been watching Tielemans this season. I felt like he has been better when he's been playing in that deeper 6 role.
I'm going to agree and disagree with you in kind of almost equal measures. But first of all, I will say I think overall he's been much better playing in the 6 this season. But I will say his best performance for us came in the 10 when he played
Man City.
When we beat Man City, he was incredible. And I got on and Kamara behind him. I thought he was this in that game. So for Man City, I would say that was his best performance. Probably came in the number 10. But overall, his best performances, like his most consistent performances, have come in the 6. Once Barkley got injured and Buendia came on later on, and Tielemans did drop into that deeper role, that's where he kind of got more involved against West Ham. And obviously, he threaded that pass through to Rodgers, who played the 1-2 obviously with Watkins and scored. So he's definitely, his vision is so good that maybe the bigger pitch in front of him does suit him, because it's those passes like that pass he played to Rodgers against Man City. So I definitely agree with you, but I also do think he's well capable of playing that 10. Maybe he just needs a more decent, more consistent run there, because even the games he's played 10, he's eventually been pulled back to the 6. So maybe he just needs a run because anyway, he like, for me, he's entitled to a bad game. I mean, that was a particularly bad game, but unfortunately there was no one around digging him out when he was having a bad game, because everybody around him was having a bad game too. So it made it look like he was having a really bad game. But then once we got going, he looked a lot better in the second half. So I think he's a tremendous footballer. And just on the 2 of them, I think between Tielemans and Kamara, their football IQ, particularly Kamara, it's through the roof. It's off, especially Kamara. His football IQ is just off the scale. For a young lad who's just coming back from a real serious injury, like like how quickly he's got back up the pace. This lad's their 50 million signing, just got straight back in there after that. Like all the other players, Mings, Buendia, they've been eased back in. Kamara was thrown straight back in the deep end. Like that tells you all you need to know what Emery thinks of him,
As soon as he was fit enough to play, Emery put him in. As soon as he was fit enough to play, start him straight away. And that tells you volumes about what he sees in training and what he knows about this player. I wouldn't have it any other way. He walks into the team every single time for me. And he's one of those players.
If he's fit, he plays. Yeah.
Yeah, if he plays, he walks in. He's in the team. Like he has to be. Because we're such a better outfit with it. Before his injury, we were just playing unbelievable football with him in there. Unbelievable.
Him and Louise together. Tremendous.
Brilliant. And I was like, who am I watching? I'm watching Villa keep the ball. I'm watching someone break up all those teams used to walk straight through the middle of our team. They used to walk through. Defenders used to walk through our central midfield before Kamara and Louise playing there, sometimes and score goals. And he came in and got Douglas Luiz and stuff. We just seemed like a whole different outfit. Dougie's gone now, and then Tielemans came in. I was like, wow, like maybe Emery already saw this, that Tielemans can do this job. And I've said it before, I think Tielemans can do the job that Dougie Luiz done, and he's been consistent so far this season. That's what really my point was as to why I think we had that balance a bit more, this season. I just want to talk about Tyrone Mings, though. It was nice to see Tyrone Mings play in the FA Cup. It was nice to see him captain the team out, and I don't expect miracles from him, but I did expect a bit of leadership. And of course, he's out there barking orders and stuff. But he himself is coming back and not really had a run of games where he's playing week in, week out to get the form that he used to have. But it would be nice to see him start to get that form. And hopefully we'll get John McGinn back, who can give us that bit of energy. Because sometimes I'm wondering, McGinn sometimes you're just like, oh my God, what's happening today? But you're right, he is that player that will give that injection of energy, that a foul, a bit of dark arts or something to try and to boost the players and boost the fans. And we have missed that in the last couple of weeks when he's been gone.
Absolutely. And just on your point about Buendia earlier, I think we might start to see Buendia. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a 10 on Wednesday against Everton for two reasons. One, he's got a very good record against Everton, so maybe this is the game to give him a start. But also, Barkley and McGinn are both injured, which means that Tielemans surely drops back to the 6, which leaves a position for a 10. So I think you'll be right there. I think Buendia probably will start against Everton, and then it's up to himself. He's got to, because we know that in the past, Buendia, not to dig him up, but there is games where Buendia genuinely becomes a passenger, and his energy becomes almost, it's his greatest strength, but sometimes it's his greatest flaw as well, because he almost loses shape and stuff. When he's on it and he's concentrated and the high energy works really well, when he's not concentrated and he's got that high energy, he's running all over the place and he's running out of shape and stuff. And I think that's probably the one thing that Emery probably marks against him, because Emery's so rigid in his shape and stuff. But when he's concentrated and he brings that energy, I think this could be the perfect game for him personally. And then it's up to him. Then it's up to him to nail down a place, because now is the time with McGinn injured and stuff, because there's a high chance McGinn comes straight back into this team, So Buendia's got to make himself undroppable, just like Kamara did when he came back from injury. Yeah. He made himself undroppable instantly. Just on your point about Tyrone Mings, I hate digging out Carlos or anything. I'm still more confident with Mings coming back from injury than I ever am with Carlos starting. I still prefer seeing his name on the sideline. And I know Mings is not quite back to where he was, but he still gives me more confidence. And there's many goals over this season where I thought, if the last 10 minutes we just had Mings in that box clearing headers, we wouldn't have conceded them,
Yeah. Right, in his presence in the defence is actually really, really good. There were little things that I noticed about him, because, he kind of plays that Pau Torres. He's been playing that Pau Torres kind of player. Konza gives it to Tyrone Mings, and Tyrone Mings tries to find that pass to stretch the game a little bit by that diagonal pass or over the top. I just didn't think it was working. I didn't think it was working for him too much the other day. I think I felt like he was doing that though, I just felt like we didn't have enough somebody coming back to take the ball off him from that midfield section enough to take it and move the ball forward. But again, I think that's just down to him not having a run of games. I think he's not Matt Sharp yet, and I think he will get it. He's going to have a run of games now because Pau Torres is injured. Is Carlos injured, or is he just...
Carlos is injured. He picked up a small injury, but that's what we're being told anyway. But like, I would have thought Carlos was out the window in January, but with Pau Torres injured, like, it's very hard to see how they can let him go unless they have someone lined up. Like, if we sell him without a replacement, we're very, very light.
We don't have a replacement, do we, at the moment? I don't think that's ready to come in. You probably couldn't trust one of the youngsters to come in and play that role if they needed to, not yet.
Yeah. No, it's all, unless we sign a centre-back, I don't see Carlos leaving, but I think it's Ming's place to lose now, I think I think I'd like to see Matty Cash stay fit, because I'd like to see Konza stay at centre-half and let them get a bit of a partnership, because all season the backline has changed from game to game. Every week it's so hard. We're conceding goals. We just haven't been solid backline at all. And I know it's easy to like say, Pau Torres is weak, Konza's playing right back, but every week the backline changes, for whether it be injuries or suspensions or whatever it may be. So like the year that we kept all those clean sheets with Digne, Cash, Konza and Mings, they hardly missed any games that season between them. We had them week in, week out, and you can change your midfielders, you can change your forward line, but your backline needs to be solid. Like, they need to build up partnerships and learn that line. Because you see,
we're not teams are beating the offside trap these days, and we used to celebrate how many offsides other teams were getting. I just don't see them anymore, and teams are just scoring goals. We're not keeping clean sheets.
Yeah, I mean, it's become our Achilles heel, and every team knows that they're just dropping balls in on top of our centre-back. That's where I think Tyrone Mings comes into his own. That's why I think that's where I see him back, because Tyrone Mings obviously has little faults, but his ability to win the ball in the air is incredible. And I think that, for me, like Carlos, for a big man, he's not great in the air, like, not great in the ground either, to be fair. But I don't want to bash him, but no,
he's got a really good long ball pass sometimes, doesn't he? Like, I'll admit that. Yeah. And sometimes he does really well to try and get back. But when it comes to set pieces and the ball's coming crossing in the box, I don't have a lot of confidence in his ability there at all for such a big guy. Just quickly, sidestep. I just saw a notification on my screen, and it looks like the deal between from Borussia Dortmund Marlon is done. Is a done deal. I just saw something pop up on my screen. I think it said something. I think it was from the Athletic. I think it said about 21 million or something that the fees being agreed. That's for Marlon from, I think it's Borussia Dortmund. That just popped up. It won't be exclusive, because by the time you guys get this, you would have already seen it on Sky Sports or somewhere already. So I thought I'd just mention that just now, make you smile a bit. We got a signing.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that signing. I think he can bring a lot to us. He can play anywhere across the front line. I watch a lot of Bundesliga football and watch a lot of Dortmund and Leverkusen games, and he's quality. He's quality. I mean, he's been inconsistent in and out the team a little bit, but there's a lot of competition at the Dortmund and the wide area. So he always plays well for the Dutch team. Has got goals in him. And I think we just need someone that's going to come in and put a bit of pressure on Bailey, because I think we've said in our group chat a few times like that. I think we missed Diaby more than we realised how much we'd miss him, because that direct running. Because Bailey's not doing it at the moment. Bailey's not taking on that player, and Diaby was so direct. And he's one of those players. I didn't realise how much we'd miss him until we missed him, because we're definitely not as quick without him. And I think Malin brings that. Also, just a little word for Jadon Philogene-Bides. Obviously, that's, if this gets signed off, I think it's very close. I think he's the medical done now. That is one of the best bits of business I've ever seen a sporting director do for a PSR. I'd love to be inside his head, Manchi, and know, what was this the plan all the time, like, or did they genuinely bring Jadon back thinking he could be of value to the first team? I suppose we'll never know. But either way, I do hope Jaden goes on and has a good career for himself, because I feel a bit sorry for him. He's been messed around a lot for his career. I'm not saying the club directly tried to mess him about. That's just the life of a pro footballer, and I'm sure the few grand a week in his pocket, he won't be too worried. But I hope he goes on and has a good career now, because he's a very good footballer, and I think it's time for him to find a settled club, because there was times he looked like he was going to be staying at Villa and suddenly he goes out on loan, or he gets moved on to Hull. He starts doing very well at Hull. Suddenly Villa are back interested. Ipswich were already interested. He was meant to go to Ipswich. Then he came back to Villa to fight for his place. Was very good against Bayern Munich. Hasn't really touched off the team, and now he's off again. So I think for his own sake, it's hopefully he can now find a bit of a home for himself for 2 or 3 seasons, and then we'll see what kind of player he is. It's very hard to judge him when he's in and out of a Villa team,
Yeah, it's a very difficult ability to get into as well, as a youngster who's sort of come from the Championship. And you kind of remember when Morgan Rogers first came from the Championship, he had a little bit of time to try and adjust to the style of play that we have. And he started off playing sort of wide on the left, didn't he? And didn't look too good. But all of a sudden, we start this season and he's playing sort of that number 10 role. Just behind.
He had a bit of luck too. He had a bit of luck towards the end of the season, Morgan Rogers too. He wasn't playing particularly well, and suddenly JJ got injured, and he probably got more game time than he expected. And he grasped his chance, and that's massive credit to Rogers for doing that. He grasped the chance. But looking back at Philogene Bidace, I know a lot of people have hammered him and stuff. My memory from him is going to be that performance against Bayern Munich, because he was absolutely brilliant that night. And that's it. I'm not going to hammer him for any of the other stuff. That's going to be my memory of him. If anyone says to me it was a waste bringing him back, I'll just say, well, you sat down and watched that 90 minutes for Bayern Munich and watched the job he done for us. And that's enough. That's enough joy for me. That performance was enough for him to come back,
Yeah, he doesn't go away with any sort of bad graces or anything like that for me. He was a player that they brought back to the club because I genuinely think that they thought they could mould him in a particular way to play and be useful for our team. And as you know, some players take a little bit longer to do it. I just don't think. Yeah, he had that great game against Bayern Munich, and I agree with that. But there were a few opportunities where I didn't quite think he tried to take it with both hands, and that's okay. Sometimes it doesn't work for players all the time, But I do hope that he gets to go on and have a really good career at another club where he's going to play regularly and show what he's made of. And you never know what happens to him for the future. It's a big club, Villa. We've got heaps of competition for places, and even those who you think, maybe they should start getting games, they're not actually. Look at Maatsen, for example. Every time I see him, I think, oh my God, how comes he hasn't started the game? And that's no slight on Luca Dean, because I love Luca Dean. I think he's brilliant for the club. I think he's been brilliant for us since he's signed. Since Emery's been there, I'll say that. Since Emery's been there, I think he's been amazing. He had an opportunity to go to Luca Dean, didn't he? And he didn't. He stayed because we were struggling there, and they decided to keep him and not let him go, because I think the talk was about his salary, wasn't it? Like he was on quite a high salary and stuff, and they were thinking that maybe they could get him off the wage books, but he's knuckled down. He's been brilliant with the fans. He's been brilliant playing since Emery come. But Maatsen's a great young player, and every time I see him, he gets me off my feet. I'm like, whoa, like he's got some really attacking prowess, and unfortunate not to score the other night, wasn't he? I thought he came in and made a really big difference. So my point is that, we've got young players who can't get into the first team, and when they do come, they've got to try and take that opportunity with both hands. And I think Maatsen's starting to do that. And it didn't work for Jaden, but I wish him the best, and I'm sure he's going to have a great career.
Yeah, you look at say John Duran, probably in a similar position to Philogene, where he wasn't really getting much of a run. He was getting a few minutes at the end of the game, but in the end, John Duran made himself undroppable. He had, in the end, he had forced his way into that first team. Whether Emery wanted to put him in there or not, I'm not sure, but he had no choice in the end, because his form just said no. I need to be starting games, and he came in. He done really well for a while. So I just don't feel that Philogene ever did that, and maybe that's down to the fact that he had a really good game against Bayern and then got taken out the week after. Maybe wingers and speedy players, they typically need to run a game to keep up the pace of the consistency. So There's a lot of factors, but I wish him well, and we've done well out of the deal with money coming out. Nice, more experience, Champions League experience. Daniel Manlin coming in now, and I'm very, very, very happy about that. And hopefully, there's a couple of more signings to come too.
Yeah, where do you think we need to strip?
I think we need a right back. We need a right back solely because clearly he doesn't fully trust Nedeljkovic yet. He's giving him enough runs that he's promising him, but he doesn't trust him enough when Cash gets injured to start them. So we need to start getting cons of that consistency, even if it's not someone to come and put pressure on Cash, not even to take Cash's place, because if hopefully someone comes in and takes his place, because that means you're getting someone that's improving the team. But just someone that if Cash is suspended or injured, or just someone to compete with Cash, meaning that if one of them if Cash is out, we don't have to move Konza across the right back. So I would say a right back. Obviously, a winger now is signed, and I do think we need another centre back. To be honest, someone to put pressure on that back line. Kind of someone of the profile of Carlos, but maybe more consistent, less injury prone, and a bit more tough. I think we need someone that's going to win the balls in the air, because Mings is not going to be able. He's come back from a very big injury. He's a bigger, bulkier lad, Mings, than Kamara is, so it's going to take him a lot longer to recover from an ACL injury. So he's going to pick up more soft tissue injuries on the recovery from ACL than Kamara, let's say, would. So we need somebody that's going to come in and fight there, and I don't think Carlos is the man. So a centre back for me, a right back, and the winger that we've obviously got now. I'd be very happy with that. And John Durant to stop getting suspended and getting sent off. That would be excellent.
It was never a red card for me. Never a red card, sorry. No, that wasn't a red card at all. And I was really disappointed with the 3-game ban and dismissing the appeal. I'd like to see him back, though, to be honest with you. I know Ollie set up the goal the other day, but we need someone like John Duran at the moment who can just pull something out of nowhere. Shoot from outside. In games like that, where there's teams sitting with 10 men behind the ball, like Leicester and West Ham, that's where you need a John Duran just to pop shots. That's what you want from your striker. It's not really Ollie's game, just to pop shots and stuff. No, he's available for Wednesday, is he? He's back Wednesday night, isn't he? I think he's available, yeah.
I think the West Ham game counts as one of his suspensions, the FA Cup, if I'm not corrected. I think that was the third of his domestic game ban. Hopefully.
I hope so. I hope he's back. And I'd like to see him start, to be honest. I know. But then, Ollie comes on and sets up a goal, and then you're like, maybe he's starting to find a little bit of form there, but he's been missing some really easy chances, hasn't he?
He's not fully confident.
No, and he's a player that needs that confidence. And when he starts getting, he's a streaky striker. Once he starts getting a bit of confidence, he'll score goals, and then he might have a quiet period. But I think John Duran, before he got suspended, has earned the right to start games, and I'd like to see him come back if he's available, and we're allowed to pick him for Everton. For sure.
I think he is available, but I personally, from a man management point of view, I don't actually see Emery starting him in that game, because I think that would just shatter any confidence that Ollie Watkins has left. So I do think Watkins will still start Thursday morning, but I think John Duran could be brought in very quickly after that. I just don't think Emery would do that.
Ollie has scored against Everton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then to be able to bring John Duran off the bench for the last 20-25 minutes, probably an itching to get back on the pitch, John Duran too. It's ideal. Yeah. It's ideal. And then he'll want to start and place back, and that can only be a good thing for us. And to be honest with you, if Ollie Watkins can't step up to the challenge, then John Duran deserves to start. That's just where we are as a club now.
I think Ollie can, and I think Everton would be a good get. The reason I'm saying I want John Duran to start is because he earned the right before he got sent off. And when he started, he was scoring goals, and he seemed to have this really good connection with Morgan Rogers. The connection that you see between Duran and Morgan Rogers seems like a whole new thing. Like, it's just exciting to watch what the two of them are doing together. They just seem to be really comfortable with each other. They know what each other's going to be doing, and that's been successful. But at the same time, I think the commentator said the other day that there's been 15 goals scored between Ollie and Rodgers.
They've assisted each other 15 times, which is really good.
So that's really good as well. So they obviously have some connection as well in that regard as well, don't they? But I just see something different in Rodgers and Duran. There's just seems to be a little bit of a different spark, and quite exciting to watch. So yeah, be interesting to see what we do. What do you reckon? What do you reckon the lineup's going to be for Everton?
I think it's going to be. I'm hoping Martinez in goal. I assume his injury wasn't too big. There hasn't been much made of that him not playing the other night in the cup game. So I'm going to go Martinez, Cash, Mings, Konza, Digne. It's going to be Kamara, Tillemans, Bailey, and JJ, Rodgers, and Watkins. I think that's what I think the starting lineup will be.
Yeah.
Not necessarily saying that's what I think it should be, but I think that's what it will be. Yeah.
Who would you bring in?
It's hard. It's hard for me to drop Digne because he's been very good, but I think Maatsen has kind of earned a shot. I'd personally start John Duran and Maatsen just for this game, because I don't think we've been great, and I think the two of them will bring a bit of energy and shots. That's I'm probably basing this on shots. Really, Maatsen showed that he's not afraid to have a strike from outside the box. We know Duran's not afraid to have a strike, and Everton are going to do to us what West Ham did. They're going to pack that midfield. They're going to put double up on the wingers and stop that feed. So we need a John Duran having shots. We need Buendia coming off the bench and showing something a little bit different. Yeah, I would start Maatsen and Duran, but I don't see it. I think it'll be Digne, and because we're away from home, I think Emery will want to keep it compact himself for the first hour, half an hour or so, 40 minutes. So I think it will be Digne and Watkins start personally. Yourself?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to go with the same sort of normal weekly team. The only difference is, it would be good for Maatsen to start. I probably wouldn't start him because I'm just desperate we don't win away games. We're not very good away from home, I don't think, this season. So I'd like to see it.
We've lost the last 5 league games in the trial at home. Or away, sorry.
Yeah, so
very poor. We need a win.
Strongest team that we've got, I think we should try to put out. The only difference, if I was selecting, I would select Duran over Watkins, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know that you've got a little bit of not an affiliation, but a bit of a warm heart for Everton, because we've talked about it before. David Moyes, I think, is the new coach there. What do you make of that? Well, the old coach is returning.
Yeah, so look, everyone knows my dad was a diehard Everton fan, so I've obviously grown up around a lot of Everton. A lot of my family are Evertonian, so it's obviously a club that I've been to Goodison Park many times, and it's obviously a club that I've known well, and it's probably the fixture I look forward to most every year. Over the years, Villa and Everton were obviously very similar sized clubs, competed a lot together, the most played fixture in English football as well. Over the last couple of years, good few years actually at this point, because when we were going down the table, Everton were going quite well, and obviously we slipped in the championship and they spent all that money, and now it's kind of flipped the other way, where we're there slowly slipping to where we were a couple of years ago, and we're on that trajectory. So it's hard to say that they've been a massive competition for us the last few years, but over the years, typically they have been a massive kind of, not a rival, but we've always been similar size and similar situations in the table. I think David Moyes going back is a great idea for them if he's given time. But time is a key, because David Moyes can build squads. David Moyes has shown he got a hard done by at West Ham. Give him time. He'll keep them up this season. I've absolutely no doubt about that. And he'll build towards it. And they will finish in the top 14 next season, no problem. If David Moyes left to his job, then that could be anywhere. That could be anywhere from 8th to 14th. I'm just saying they will finish in the top. They'll be out of trouble early next season if they just let David Moyes do his job. I think it's a good appointment for them. It's a good fit at the moment. Someone that knows the club. And David Moyes has kind of shown. Everyone will say, "Oh, it's similar type football to Deutsch," but it's not exactly the same football. It's similar, but he definitely lets his forward players go a bit more than Deutsch ever does, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall I'd say a good fit.
I think he's tactically better than Sean Dyche.
Yeah. And he's more used to fighting in those bigger games as well. Sean Dyche has always been a firefighter, you know, whereas David Moyes has managed in Europe. He's managed in big games as well, you know.
Yeah. I think Dyche is a championship manager.
Agreed.
He's built, his game is built for the championship, and I'm surprised that he got that job, and I'm also surprised that he was in it for that long. I just don't rate Sean Dyche as a Premier League manager. I just think he's one of those coaches that are really good, would be really good in the championship. Fighting for promotion most seasons. That's kind of where I see Sean Dyche. Whereas Everton Moyes has got proven pedigree, hasn't he? Didn't he get the trophy? He got a European trophy, didn't he? With West Ham.
Yeah. He played the Europa League semi-final with them, and then he won the conference with them.
So he's
the year before us, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a bit more tactical know-how. He knows the Premier League, and he did really good at Everton while he was there for many years, didn't he? They were a stable club and everything like that. He was able to kind of build his own team.
Took him into Europe a few times.
There was financial situations which kind of prevented him from improving the team at stages as well. So, to try and work and battle with that. And Everton are a good club, man. Like, they're one of the clubs that I enjoy playing every season. I think they're a good, honest club in my opinion. I like watching Everton. I like watching them, and they give Liverpool, if they can give Liverpool a hard time, I really like watching that kind of game as well. But they're a good honest club, and I like Everton, and I've got a lot of respect for them.
Tess, before we wrap up, so just on that note, we're away from home. Our record against Everton has been reasonably well, especially for Villa Park, since we've got promoted. Overall, I think home and away we've done very well against Everton, typically since we come 2020. Do you want to give us a score prediction and your thoughts for Wednesday night at home, Thursday morning here?
Yeah, it's going to be 3-0 to Villa, and we're going to keep a clean sheet. Big call, because we just don't do that. But I think we're going to keep a clean sheet. Everton are going to be solid, low block, all that sort of stuff. I don't find them as an attacking threat at all this season, really. I don't see much about them that we should be too scared of, or that we shouldn't be able to handle. But I just think this is a game where we really should stamp our authority and get a good, solid away win. And we haven't won away, as you mentioned, we haven't won away from home for a while. And now is the time. This is going to be the business end of the season. And having a good second half of the season is really, really important. And I'm pretty sure that the coach will want a good start to this second half of the season for us to try and progress and be where we want to be.
Yeah.
Goal scoring, Duran. Yeah, Duran to score, Bailey to score, and Matty Cash.
Ooh, I like it. I'm going to go 2-0. I think we are finally going to get this clean sheet. We need this away win. I think Watkins is going to score, and I think Duran's going to come off the bench and score.
Worldy.
Yeah, a much needed 3 points. Having said that, just before we do go, I mean, we have been up and down a little bit inconsistent this season, but at the end of the day, like, we're making a better fist of this league campaign than a lot of other teams that have had to go into Europe in the past have made of it. So there's teams there like Newcastle, Chelsea, who have been mentioned as title contenders over the last 5-6 weeks. We're only 4 points behind Newcastle with 18 games to go. We're only 5 points behind Chelsea with 18 games to go, and like, these are teams with Newcastle have no Europe to contend with, so they've been able to keep their players fresh. Chelsea have been basically able to play their second string team in the conference every week. So we're not doing too bad. We're not doing too bad, to be fair. And if we can just wrap up our top 8 now in the Champions League, and then get our concentration back on the league. And I think it's an important place to start tomorrow is an away win at Goodison Park, because we're followed hot then by games against Arsenal at home, West Ham at home. So it doesn't get any easier from here. But Emery is well capable of putting us on a run. And in this league, you climb it very quickly if you can start stringing 3 or 4 wins together,
A couple of good wins, and if we had players coming in that can help the team and give us a little bit, just I don't want it to sound, I'm not being negative, and I don't want it to sound like I'm being negative, but it would be nice to sort of have a couple of players come in who can help us be less predictable in terms of the way that we build up. That would really, really nice. And there are certain teams out there that we will have an opportunity to beat, who will keep us flowing nicely, especially against the Arsenals of this world. If we can, sneak something off Arsenal and those sorts of teams around us, it'll be really good for our season, because they've had a few bad results this season. We're not far away from Newcastle, who have had a stormer, haven't they? I think they've won like maybe 4 or 5 games. Six games. Yeah, so but 4 points, only 4 points ahead of where we are. So I think we've still got to play them again this season. So that could be an important fixture. I think we're going okay. It'd be nice to be in the top 8 of the Champions League. I think we're sitting nicely at the moment. Are we 6th at the moment or somewhere like that?
Fifth at the moment, yeah. 4 points will absolutely guarantee us.
Okay.
Yeah, so 4 points. A win against Celtic and Monaco. We're away to Monaco first, and then a home tie against Celtic.
I mean, I'm looking forward to watching the Celtic game in particular, though. Just that.
For me, I should be there. I should be there. I still can't get over the fact I'm not going to be there. It's absolutely devastating.
It would be the dream.
Yeah, if I didn't get married in November, I've definitely gone over for sure.
Yeah. I can feel the flu coming on for the Champions League final.
If we go to Berlin, if we make the Champions League final in May, mate, there won't be no man, woman, or beast stopping me from going to Berlin, lad.
It would just be. Do you know? I think once if we can do this last part and get into the top 8 of the Champions League, I'd be delighted for whatever happens then. I'd be obviously keen for us to push on and see how far we can go.
Yeah.
For me, it's been a great achievement this season playing in the Champions League. I love the format that it's in at the moment, but I genuinely think we've done a great job to be where we are. No matter what happens, if we can just make that top 8, and it's anybody's game from there. We still have the potential to go on and do really, really well in it. But if we don't do really well after that top 8, we've still made it there, and we've had big scouts on the way.
We're almost guaranteed a playoff place either way, but I just think that if we can we've seen it this far now, we're very unlucky for that goal to be chalked out against Juventus, which would have probably all but guaranteed us that, and obviously silly goal we gave away against Club Brugge when Mings handled the ball. So a couple of little things. Apart from that, we've been brilliant in the Champions League, but I think it is important to get the top 8, because when you look at the teams in that 9 to 16 that are going to be in that playoff, there's some big teams in that. So and the last thing we need anyway is another 2 games. So we need to get this done, get to 4 points.
You reckon 4 points will be enough?
I think mathematically 4 points guarantees us the top 8 at the moment, yeah. So a win and a draw will guarantee us the top 8, which means that we don't have to play playoff. We go straight to the knockouts, which is, with the amount of fixtures we have at the moment, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
If we finish 9 to 16th, which we're not mathematically guaranteed, but like technically we're guaranteed to get that anyway. That would mean we'd have played 10 group stage games. Like if we went to that playoff, that is a lot. I think for a club our size when we have other competitions as well. But look, Tess, we'll this week we're hoping,
because we've got almost an hour and we've managed to do almost an hour since we first come back in the brand new year.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on the anniversary football shirt.
Oh,
I like the black shirt.
I like it. It's the crest is really nice. I haven't given a massive amount of thought really. It's nice. It's nice that they mark the occasion. I like the crest. For that, apart from that, it's just a plain black shirt, but I like the meaning of it. Like that it's a tip of the hat to the shirt that we played in our first game ever, which is important, of course. You've got to respect all parts history of the club, I like that. You obviously loved it.
I was just like, I love the crest most of all, and I saw that the shirt was kind of plain, but then you see the black stripes on there. It was just normally when we have a new top, if there's a black training top, I normally buy the black one for some reason.
Yeah.
I like so I got the black and grey one. So I normally like it. But I just wanted to the whole thing that they've done with this 150 year anniversary of the club, I thought it's been top class. I thought it's been brilliant for me to watch. I've been seeing all the videos on YouTube of what they've been doing and the people that they've been speaking to and the atmosphere at the club and what they're doing before the game, what they did before the game, and trying to really make it a really big event. I thought they've done a really, really good job. So kudos to the club for doing that. I thought it's been fantastic.
Yeah, 100%, and it'd be nice enough to win a trophy just to cap off that year for us. It'll be an ideal year to get a trophy, and we're going to be 30 years next year without a trophy, which is absolutely incredible for a club our size. So I think it's time to bring home some silverware. So hopefully we take the FA Cup serious now from here on in. We give the league another good rattle. We're not going to win the league, but we'll just have to go and win the Champions League, I think. Yes. Thursday, we're back. The listeners are back. So it'll either be myself and yourself, or it'll be yourself and Rhino. Thursday, and then Sunday we will be hopefully have the three of us back together. Where can they find the podcast for the likes and shares and all that good stuff?
So for all the good stuff, likes and shares, you can find us on YouTube, the Villa Pride Down Under podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Villa Pride Down Under. And on X at Pride Down Under, and you can find all that stuff down there on the bar ticker going on. Just a massive thank you to all of those who have been sending us the messages again. We really appreciate it. I know we haven't been here for a little while, but we've had a few things on. Now we're starting to get back together, and hopefully we can be with you every week going back into for the remainder of the season. But yeah, please like and subscribe and stay in touch with us.
Yeah, and we'll roll that off with an old Up the Villa.
Up the Villa, mate.